Hi, in this video I'll help you get to know your car a little better. At the end of this video I've put together a straightforward infographic that summarizes all the key points. Like, subscribe and comment below. It really helps.
All right, if you own a Dodge, you know that feeling when a warning light pops up on the dash. It's never fun. But today we're going to tackle a really specific one, that error code C14B. So, if you're here, I'm guessing that C147B code is staring right back at you from your dashboard. It looks kind of technical, I know, but you're in the right place. We are going to figure this out together.
And seriously, don't sweat it. We're going to break down what this code actually means, look at the four most common reasons it shows up, and I'll give you a clear plan to fix each one. So let's just dive right in.
First things first, what is your truck even trying to tell you with this code? Well, C1470B points straight to an issue with something called the front axle disconnect sensor circuit. Okay, just think of this circuit as the little command center that tells your front axle when to lock in for four-wheel drive. If there's some kind of glitch in that communication, the system has no idea if the axle is locked or unlocked. And that confusion, that's what triggers the C147B code. Now, trying to figure this out can feel like looking for a needle in a haystack, but it almost always comes down to one of four main problems. So think of this next part as our diagnostic roadmap. We're just going to follow the science.
And here is our game plan. See, it's not so bad when you lay it all out. The problem's going to be in one of these four buckets. And notice how we're starting with the easiest fix, checking a single part, the relay, before we get into tracing wires. Trust me, following this order is going to save you a ton of time.
All right. We've got our roadmap, so let's get to it. We're going to tackle these four possible causes one by one, and we're starting with the most common and thankfully the easiest one to fix.
First stop on our journey is the most frequent culprit behind a C147B code, a bad drivetrain control relay. This relay might be small, but it's super important. It's basically just an electronic switch that controls power to the drivetrain. So you can imagine, when this little guy fails, the whole system gets confused, and boom, you get that error code. And the best part? The fix is usually incredibly simple. You just have to find the relay. It's almost always in the main fuse box right under the hood. Your owner's manual will show you the exact spot. Then you just pull the old one out and pop the new one in. Seriously, it's a 5-minute job that could solve the whole problem right there.
Okay, so what if you replace the relay and the code is still there? Don't worry, it just means the problem is probably with the wiring connected to the relay. That brings us to our second possible cause, an open connection or what's called high resistance in the circuit. This one takes a little more detective work. You'll need to get to the wiring for that control circuit and use a multimeter to check the resistance. What you're looking for is either a crazy high reading, which means there's a break in the wire, or a reading that's way off from what it should be, which could mean there's corrosion or just a bad connection somewhere.
All right, on to possibility number 3. This time we're looking at a different circuit, the front axle lock signal circuit. The issue here could be a short to voltage. All that means is that a power wire has somehow touched this signal wire, and now it's sending a constant jolt of electricity that's really confusing the computer.
For this one, the fix is all about a careful inspection. You've got to trace that signal circuit's wiring, looking really closely for any spot where the plastic coating might have rubbed off or melted, letting it touch another wire. Once you find that damaged spot, you just have to repair that section of wire. And that brings us to our fourth and final potential cause. We're still looking at that same front axle lock signal circuit, but this time, instead of a short, we're looking for an open circuit. And that's just a fancy way of saying there's a complete break somewhere in the wire. So the solution here is a different kind of test. You'll use your multimeter again, but this time on the continuity setting. You'll check the signal wire from one end to the other. If you don't hear that beep, you know you found your problem. There's a break. Then it's just a matter of finding the physical damage and fixing it to get everything connected again. So let's just pull it all together. You now have a super clear 4-step path to track down and fix that annoying C147B code for good.
Just remember the process, right? Start simple. Check that drivetrain control relay first. If that doesn't do it, then you move to the circuits. You check the relay's control circuit for high resistance, then you check the axle lock signal circuit for a short, and finally, you check that same signal circuit for an open break.
By following that logical order, from the simple part to the more complex wiring, you're working smarter, not harder. You've got the knowledge now, so the only question is where you're going to start.